Music back.
I mean, it's such a great tune, though.
It is. I like the entire album. So.
Yeah. Friday! For me. Not for you guys. But for me. I will be in a matter of hours. I will be on a beach in the Dominican Republic for a week. Yeah, my life is good. Thanks for saying that, guy who didn't say that.
Glad you're rocking the magenta today. Is that what that is? Magenta? I'm going with magenta.
Well, you know,
Is it fuchsia? Is it puce?
I believe magenta is
I
correct.
think magenta. I think it looks like magenta.
You can be the judge for yourself by going on the Facebook stream at facebook.com/thefanupstate or go to YouTube and searching and subscribing to the Rob Brown Show.
Or better yet, follow the Rob Brown Show.
Well, make sure you do that. Follow, like, subscribe, whatever the YouTuber way of saying that is. Smash that like button, bro.
I like to follow better because it makes it sound like a cult.
Yes, I do have followers. Welcome in, ladies and gentlemen. Happy Tuesday for you, Friday for me. It's great to be with you. I am Rob Brown, the great one Lonzo, directly across the metaphorical glass from me, the alpha and the omega of the fan upstate, running the board for us today and making us sound as good as we do. I am, of course, Rob Brown, and the pleasure, of course, is mine. Thank you very much for hanging out with us. Hope you had a lovely Monday evening. We got a lot of stuff to get to today on the radio broadcast, as it is Major League Baseball trade deadline day. The Bravos making a couple of moves yesterday, and they're okay. All right, I guess. You added an outfielder. I mean, I guess you needed one for a little depth. You didn't get a lot there. You went and grabbed a pitcher who's been ho-hum this year.
All right, so I would you be more negative today if they made zero moves?
Do you understand how I'm not being negative? How excited I am about life?
It sounds pretty negative. It does. They made a couple moves, I guess. You stopped short of saying meh, but you wanted to, and I think you'd be more upset if they didn't make any moves at all.
Somebody just asked, how did Dominic Mysterio main event Raw? And somebody else responded, he has two famous wrestling dads.
There is that.
That's a good throwback joke. No, I am not negative. But if you're defending the World Series, grabbing a pitcher who is having his worst year in his last 10 and grabbing a guy to roll into a position that you've already got some depth at, I don't understand. I don't understand how that helps, right? Like, I'm looking for help. I'm looking for ways to get better. Did they just get better? I mean, I guess they got better in some degree in that you can get Ian Anderson out of the middle of that lineup. You can move him back into the pen and give him an opportunity to try to find his mojo once again. But Jake Odorizzi is a dude who's down. He's just down. He's 32 years old. He did pick up a win in his last game before he moved over. Odorizzi comes over from the Houston Astros. It's a good pickup. You sent them relief pitcher Will Smith. Now, that's an interesting one because Will Smith was arguably the reason the Braves won a World Series last year. Will Smith was dominant in the postseason run last year, but he has, to be honest, sucked this year in the regular season. And not like always having a down year. I mean, he has flat out been bad in the regular season. So while you hate to get rid of the guy that effectively dominated off the bump all the way to a World Series ring last year, at the same time, he's not helping you this year. In fact, he's actively hurting you. So, I mean, technically, it is an upgrade, but, you know, Odorizzi's been okay. It's not a great pickup. It's a good pickup.
I had a Will Smith joke there, but I just changed my mind.
He was slapping the Braves' chances.
No, I was going to say,
Series.
I thought he was on his way back after the apology, but I guess not.
Did you watch that? Will's apology to
No,
Chris?
no, I didn't watch the
I didn't
apology. Oh, what's the point? I mean, it's
Yeah.
like a couple months later?
Yeah. You open palm slapped another grown man.
And didn't even knock him down.
Yeah. Sorry. You open palm slapped a 5'7", 170-pound stand-up comedian who responded with, he just slapped the hell out of me. Like, he wasn't even mad about it. He was just kind of in shock, right? I'd like to apologize to Chris Rock. I bet you would, Will. I bet you would. You went from America's favorite actor to the butt of every joke, and you did it for Jada. Good run, man. You had a good run. Sucks to be you. Anyway. I mean, it's only been 6 months. Why wouldn't we still talk Will Smith and Chris Rock? There's one thing you can trust in this show. You are going to get absolutely up-to-date jokes and references.
I do feel bad for Will Smith, the baseball player, Will Smith, the football player. I don't know if he's still playing. I believe he might be. I feel bad for those guys because imagine the jokes that they're getting.
Yeah.
I'm guessing either one of those guys slaps you, though, you're going to feel it.
Will Smith. Anyway, Will Smith, the baseball player. Well, one of two Will Smiths. There's one on the Dodgers, too. But Will Smith, the Atlanta Brave no mas, the Atlanta Braves Will Smith, now goes to Houston in return for Odorizzi, who, again, did pick up a dub in his last game for H-Town before he moved over to Atlanta. The Atlanta Braves also acquired Detroit Tigers outfitter Robbie Grossman late last night. Adds a little veteran depth. He was not in the lineup on Monday night when the Tigers lost 5-3 at the Twins. He's, again, having a meh season. Hitting .205, 2 home runs, 23 RBIs in 83 games. How does that help? Well, are you plugging him into the lineup? How does that help? Now, I guess, again, it gives you a little bit of depth. It gives you a little bit of an option there because you've had a couple of spots where you haven't really been able to trust the bats of the outfielders. Rosario had a nice little start when he came back from eye surgery, but it's been meh since then. Ronnie's been down a couple of times this season with different injuries. I mean, again, I guess it gives you okay, Ronnie's down, or we need to plug Marcell Ozuna into the DH spot. We're going to need somebody to trot out to right, and Grossman can do that. He can play either side of the outfield, left or right. He did so with Detroit this season. But again, I mean, in Alex we trust. Alex Anthopoulos has been a phenomenal trade deadline GM over the last couple of years. Last year at the trade deadline, he went out and got some dudes like Jock. When Jock showed up and the rest of the boys showed up, all of a sudden the Atlanta Braves last year post-trade deadline looked like a contender, and they went on to win the World Series. They went on to win the show. So, you know, I would say that Alex Anthopoulos has made his way into a position of, you know, we trust Anthopoulos. Braves fans gotta trust Alex Anthopoulos. He pulled all the right triggers last year. He made all the right moves. He built a lineup that made a run. And it didn't help that the Dodgers did not live up to their expectations in the postseason. They're about to get good because I've got a very sneaky suspicion. The trade deadline is not until 6 p.m. tonight. But I got a very, very sneaky suspicion that Juan Soto is going to end up being an LA Dodger by the end of the night. There are 3 teams that are in the mix right now for Juan Soto. The Dodgers are one, the Padres are one, and I don't remember who the other one is, and I don't care because it won't be them that lands him. He'll be a Dodger. I don't know for how long. The Dodgers got more money wrapped up in guys than anybody else in the league, it feels like. I don't know how they add another contract, but we'll see. We'll see. Trade deadline comes up at 6 p.m., but the Braves end up making 2 moves yesterday inside of 24 hours before the deadline. Detroit Tigers outfielder Robbie Grossman is now an Atlanta Brave, and you also ended up with Jake Odorizzi from Houston, a righty coming over, according to Jeff Passan. The rumors of those moves broke, and then minutes later, the actual news of the trades broke yesterday. So, like I said, it's good to see the Braves making moves. It's good to see an Atlanta team that I don't think has, nor should they, give up on the NL East just yet. Now, unfortunately, they got within a game. It is now trickled back down to 3.5 games deficit behind the Mets. The good news is the next closest team in that division is 6.5 games out. The good news is the Braves have 62 wins. The Braves have a better record than all but 2 other teams in the entire National League. The only teams with better records than Atlanta right now are the NL leading LA Dodgers, who are 69-33, the New York Metropolitans, who are 65-37, and then in third you got the Bravos at 62-41. They are in a wild card spot. It's painful, but that's because the NL Central is hot garbage right now. The Brewers, 57 games, would be in third place in the West. They'd be in third place in the East. Instead, they are winning the NL Central. The Cardinals, who are second place in the NL Central, would be fourth place in the East and third place in the West. It's not going great for the NL Central. The problem for the Bravos is that one of those playoff spots as a division winner is going to be eaten up by an excuse of a playoff team out of the NL Central, whether it's the Brewers or the Cardinals. I still think the Cardinals could be pretty good, but they just can't seem to keep it together for any length of time. And they're bad on the road. They're 25-28 on the road. So, there's good news and there's bad news if you're Atlanta. The good news is your GM has been a wizard for a couple of years now. The good news is that he's pulled all the right strings over the past couple of years, so he's earned that trust, right? The good news is you've added some depth, primarily in the spot that you needed it most in the rotation, and a little bit more in an injury-prone outfield. The bad news is the Mets get Jacob deGrom back tonight. So Bravos fans, I got news. You are playing for a wild card now. You cannot win this division from the Mets unless there is another rash of injuries in New York. Jacob deGrom comes back. It sets the rotation back up. You add a Cy Young Award winner into the top of that rotation to go behind Max Scherzer. Now 2 out of every 5 games are guaranteed wins at this point, or at least they feel like it. deGrom is back again. The Mets are about to be good. And the problem for the Braves is you can keep winning on the pace that you are winning right now. The Mets have outpaced you, and they just got better, like a lot better, by adding DeGrom. DeGrom's an ace, no doubt about it. So you got within a game and a half of New York. You were on a heater. They came into your house and took, 2 or 3 away from you? To grow that lead to 2.5. They have added another full game since then. I don't know if this is enough for Atlanta. But, as mentioned, in Alex, we trust. So we'll see. All right, let's take a break. I had a thought yesterday. We got off the air. I was, as I am wont to do, flipping sports talk radio channels around the country yesterday. And obviously, the big topic of discussion was the Deshaun Watson suspension. And I had a little bit of thought on it. And I had this thought maybe 15 minutes after we went off the air, when I read some of the excerpts from the report put out by Judge Sue Johnson. It triggered something in me. It triggered something in me, and I had a thought that I want to share with you next and see if you guys agree or disagree with it. So let's take a break, and when we come back, we'll get into that. I am not going to do 3 hours of Deshaun talk because when this show's over, I'm going on vacation for a week, and I don't want to end it on a sour note. So we'll get the Deshaun stuff out of the way. I got college football stuff because do you know what happens between now and the time that I get back, Lonzo? College football camp's open.
You know what else is going to happen before the show is over? We're going to give away 2 tickets to Friday Night SmackDown. So stay tuned.
Boy, howdy. Well, that's exciting. Since I freaking can't be there. It's going to be such a good show, too.
I'll stand up and cheer for you.
Because you the twos.
And we the one.
Back after this on the Rob Brown Show. This is the Fan Upstate. Skrilla, welcome in, big dog. Good to have you. Good to have you. Good to have you. Man, 11 people watching. What's up, America? Good to be with you.
I can't take 11 people watching me. I'm leaving.
Okay, bye. Flair didn't look like he was strutting so much as his legs were just going noodly and he couldn't stand up. Mike, appreciate you, big dog. Thank you very much, my guy. Love you guys, too. Y'all are the best. That's why I get to keep doing it. Are you going to work on a caramel bronze tan in the Dominican so you can look like Macho Man? So Cody Decker did Macho Man last Saturday. I'm obviously out this Saturday because I will be on the beach in the Dominican. But next, not the week after that, but the week after that. So that would be Saturday the 20th. Saturday the 20th, I will be dressed as Razor Ramon. You look like the B movie version of the Ring Girl. Nobody likes this, Lonzo. I especially am uncomfortable. And of course, telling him that makes him does it more. I saw Cody's Macho Man, and I believe you can outdo him. Yeah. So we went to dinner last night with. Funny enough, the parents for whom the baby shower was thrown, who were very nice people. I love them. I adore them. They're great people. And we were talking, and I asked Courtney in front of the table full of people, hey, do you know how to give me a Jerry curl. And she's like, what? I'm like, Jerry curl. Can you give me a Jerry curl? She's like, why? And I said, well, because when we get back from the Dominican on the next BetQL show, I have to dress like Scott Hall. And I've obviously got to have a Jerry curl to do Scott Hall. And she was like, who's Scott Hall? And the husband, the dude who has the baby, looks at me and goes, and I was like, this guy gets it. We're friends now. We're friends. Like, we're friends.
You also got to get, some product.
Oh, yeah, the hair's going straight.
It's got to look wet.
Not only is the hair going straight back and wet, but I'm going to get some curly hair extensions to drop down. Cody went all out. Like I wouldn't do that. I would just do vest and bad beard and slick back hair. But because Cody went so wholesale, I have to do it. Spray paint a razor blade gold and put it on a chain.
You just said spray paint.
I've already.
You did.
I've already
The
Amazoned
turrets to get you, man. You just don't know what it's gonna.
I've already Amazoned a couple of big thick costume gold chains and everything. It's gonna be ridiculous, and I genuinely cannot wait. She was like, I don't know why you're setting your dress up like you wouldn't just wear that out. I was like, I haven't decided that I'm not yet.
Well, Halloween's coming up, so you've already got it taken care of. In honor of the late great, why not?
Hey yo. Bad times don't last. Bad guys do.
Are you going to sign off by hitting the camera with the toothpick?
Oh, yeah. I may exit every segment by throwing a toothpick at the camera.
So that's a pretty small target, though. I mean, if you could hit that, you're on Brock Lesnar, Roman Reigns level.
I did finally finish that match this morning. It's exactly the ending I thought we were going to get.
One thing that Lisa noted last night, because we watched Raw, was that the matches are a lot longer now. And there are more matches than there are story.
Did you feel like they were longer, really?
Because there are more matches than there are story.
Yeah.
2 weeks ago, there were more story than matches. And that's one thing that AEW had is a lot of wrestling. WWE is starting to get more wrestling into their wrestling show.
Gosh, wrestling in a wrestling show.
I know.
What a concept.
Well, because it was sports entertainment before.
What is Jericho going to do?
Now it's for the fans.
What is Jericho going to do?
Heard some other podcasts talking about that too, them saying fans. It's that big of a deal.
Yeah.
Don't recall hearing Universe once last night, actually.
I mean, I'm only halfway through Raw, but I haven't heard it yet.
This is like going to vacation music for you.
I mean, any music is going to vacation music for me right now.
Yeah, you could rock on the beach this as you're walking out for the first time.
2 hours and 37 minutes from now. That's not true. I got like 2 hours of work after that. But then after that, that's it. Also, that's not true. I got a meeting with the big bosses afterwards, and then I got to go back to the house after that because, Lonzo, guess who gets their air conditioner fixed today?
Good for you. I'm jealous about you.
Just in time to leave the country.
I'm jealous about your vacation. At least you're going to return to a cool home. I'm going to have to take another one just because you're taking one.
Must be nice to get all that vacation.
Saying it and doing it are two totally different things, though.
Just having it.
Yeah, well, that just means you've been here for over 10 years because that's when you reach your max.
Fair. Working on it.
You actually are. I mean, you and I are coming up on, we're a couple months away from actually being on the show together for 2 years.
Has it been that long already?
In December it will be, yeah.
Man, time flies when you're winning awards, doesn't it?
It does.
Winning award. We got to work on the plural. We're getting there. Don't you worry. We're coming for blood next year, metaphorically. So the Deshaun Watson ruling.
Although if someone wants to step up, it might be, we can get physical if need be.
I ain't mad at it. The Deshaun Watson The Deshaun Watson ruling dropped yesterday. 6-game suspension without pay. he's at about $300,000, which is, I mean, a lot of money if you're me and Lonzo, a drop in the bucket of what he got guaranteed on his contract, yeah? And I heard a lot of people saying yesterday, because the favorite argument of those who, I'm not even going to say defending Deshaun Watson, but the favorite argument of those who are defending the decision of a 6-game suspension, I don't get the logic behind it. The logic doesn't make sense to me, and here's why. Deshaun Watson, the decision behind the suspension was based on a few things. Number one, or at least in speculation by those who have defended it. Number one, well, Rob, you don't have any hard evidence that Deshaun sexually assaulted anyone. There was not enough evidence that 2 grand juries in the state of Texas would decide to indict Deshaun Watson and have him face charges. And I understand that. In fact, I said when that information dropped a couple of months back or 3 months ago, whatever it was, I said at that point, this likely diminishes the number of games that Deshaun gets suspended. But that is not to say there was no evidence. We know that there were at least text messages and Instagram DMs where Deshaun apologized for his behavior. But here's my thought when it comes to the 6-game suspension. I cannot understand Lonzo saying, I'm okay with 6 games, but it shouldn't be more. Because there's 2 sides to this. Number one, the side of, well, there's no hard evidence that Deshaun did what he did. Well, then shouldn't you be in favor of a 0-game suspension, right? If you are basing where this should stand on the criminal element of the criminal prosecution, a criminal conviction, etc., and you are holding your entire argument on the there's no physical evidence against Deshaun, despite the fact that if you talk to any prosecuting attorney, they will tell you that sexual assault crimes are one of the most difficult to prosecute. Because unless they are processed in the moment that they happen, the majority of the evidence is not long-lasting physical evidence. Right? So unless a woman sexually assaulted, or man, or whoever sexually assaulted, immediately comes forward and goes, I was just sexually assaulted, here's the evidence, right? That evidence does not stick around for a while. It's not like a bullet hole in a wall that you can go back 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 or 6 weeks later and that bullet hole is there and you can see the caliber of the weapon and the angle of the shot and the gun it was fired from, et cetera, et cetera. That evidence goes away. So if your entire take on this is there's no physical evidence that Deshaun did what he did, should you not be arguing for a 0-game suspension? And if you say the 6-game suspension is adequate, then why is it adequate? Is it adequate because you're going, well, something happened? And if something happened, how are you going to pick and choose what the somethings that happened were? Right? If you are saying there's no physical evidence, then you should be for a 0-game suspension and you should be speaking out for a 0-game suspension. If you are going 6 is fine, then I need you to tell me why. I need you to tell me what you believe happened, that 6 games is appropriate, not 0. Because if you say 6 games is appropriate, I need to know why only 6 games is appropriate. What do you believe did happen when there's no physical evidence that makes you not argue for 0? Does that make sense? It kind of feels like when you go 6 games is fine, it kind of feels like you're like, let me throw a bone to the people who thought it should have been a greater suspension. but you're not really willing to go all the way in that direction. And if that's the case, just say it.
It's bad wording for sure, and I didn't think about it that way. But you're absolutely right. How should they have said it then? What would have been the best way to come out and say it?
This to me is not you phrased it poorly. It's an inconsistency in logic, right? It is a fallacy in logic. You either say there's no physical evidence, none, and you should be in favor of a 0-game suspension. If you say there's no physical evidence and I'm in favor of a 6-game suspension, then I need to know why, right? Why is it? I heard a host yesterday in this exact situation saying there's no physical evidence, but the NFL got it right with a 6-game suspension. And I'm like, why? What if you feel like there's no evidence and that is the standard the NFL should use? Because the NFL is not a court of law, remember. It's a business, a private business. If you are basing your thought that the NFL's decision must come from the stance that there's no physical evidence, then you cannot be okay with a 6-game suspension. Those two thoughts are inconsistent and incompatible with each other, right? And again, I acknowledge that I am an idiot, all right? I'm dumb. I say it all the time, and I believe it. So being an idiot, maybe I'm missing something here. Maybe there's some thought pattern that just escaped my pea-sized brain. But if your whole argument rests on, well, there's no solid physical evidence, there's no conviction, there's no prosecution, there's no criminal court case, right? There's no physical evidence. That's fine. But you should be arguing that 6 is too many games and he should have gotten 0, if that's what you're basing it on. The thought of there's no evidence but 6 games is okay is not a consistent thought to me. And if you're fine with only 6, I need to know why. Are you picking and choosing? Now, the judge, Sue Robinson, in this case, remember, the NFL presented their argument to her. And while there were 25 lawsuits, 1 dropped, 23 settled, 1 active lawsuit remaining, the NFL interviewed only 12 women. And they presented, if I recall correctly, they presented only 4 of those women's cases to the judge. So the judge, in doing her job like a judge, can only look at the evidence and the allegations that are presented directly to her. But the NFL has all the rest of the information, right? Even if they only interviewed 12 women, they have all the rest of the information available to them. And them not presenting it is part of the problem. I don't think Judge Sue Robinson is bad at her job. I don't think Judge Sue Robinson did a bad job. I think she had a set of parameters placed on her, a set of responsibilities placed on her, and a set of limitations placed on her to react under, to issue this judgment under. And she acted within those, which is all she can do. There were 25 cases, 1 settled, or one was dropped, 23 settled. She cannot approach her ruling with that information. It's kind of like, Lonzo, you ever sat in on jury duty?
No, I got out of jury. I didn't get out, but I do work at a station that discusses.
Yeah. So you can't, right?
Yeah.
So I've never sat in on jury duty, but I've sat in a lot of court cases because I was a court reporter not a court reporter. I was a beat reporter who covered court cases for a long time in my county. And I've got attorneys in my family that sometimes if I'm bored, I'll go sit and watch them try a case because I'm a loser. And it's always been interesting to me when you hear, and you see it in like courtroom dramas all the time, but it happens in real courtrooms too, in situations where a lawyer will ask a question or a witness will give an answer, and the judge will tell the jury, strike that, right? Strike that from the record. Do not consider that. And it's like in a spot where a witness is like, give some piece of information that could genuinely turn your opinion on a case, and then the judge goes, do not consider that, right? Strike that from the record. Do not consider that in your delegation. And it's like, yeah, you can't now.
Yeah, you just heard it. It's not
right.
You can't make it disappear from your brain.
Right. But you have to make your decision not based on that, right? Like Judge Robinson knew about the other 24 cases, or I guess other 20 cases. She knew about them, but she cannot act on those. Judge Robinson is not the problem here. I will also say this. In the report that she issued attached to this ruling, I don't know if you saw this, though. She wrote that she highly advises that all massage therapy sessions from this point forward for Deshaun Watson be scheduled by and go through the team only. Basically, now the Browns should be in charge of every aspect of Deshaun's massage therapy. Here's my question. If nothing happened, why would she say that? Right? Like if there was not enough here to believe that Deshaun Watson did some wrong, why would she basically demand that the National Football League force Deshaun Watson to go through all massage therapy through the Cleveland Browns?
Well, the other thing is, if he did everything he's accused of, and this is all that happens to him, what's to stop him from doing it again? I know there's going to be attention on it for a while, but afterwards, what's to stop him from doing it again? And maybe, but you're right. If he didn't do anything, but he did enough for her to suspend him for 6 games. So there is guilt there, according to her, or he wouldn't have been suspended at all.
So, the suspension is for violation of the personal conduct policy. And from what I understand, and again, not an attorney, but from what I understand, part of the justification of that suspension is that Deshaun Watson, when setting up these massage sessions, would identify himself as a National Football League player, right? Like he would, not that people don't know who Deshaun is, but he would.
There are people out there who wouldn't know who he is.
I'm sure. But he would actively identify himself as a National Football League player, which allows you to take advantage of certain situations, right? Can we just be honest with each other? We've all seen the way that athletes in society get treated in America. They get a special set of rules. I'm talking from elite high school players, certainly up to the NFL.
Well, in this case, if you say you're an NFL player and you're and you're trying to hire someone, immediately you know that person has money.
Yep. They have money. They have power. They have the ability to make you, right? And before anybody goes, well, Rob, that just means they're they're cleat chasers. Not necessarily, right? Just because you realize that this particular client has power and money does not mean you want to be forced to touch his little Deshaun. You feel me? You get what I'm saying? So the judge said, because you utilized your power, your influence, your recognition, your reputation as an NFL player in order to not just get these massages, but to attempt to coerce the masseuses into sexual contact with you, that's the violation. The 6-game punishment, the 6-game suspension is not for sexual assault. Deshaun did not catch 6 games for sexual assault. Deshaun caught 6 games because Deshaun utilized his power, his influence, his recognition as an NFL player in order to gain access to massage sessions from these women and then attempt to use that same power and influence to gain sexual favors from them or force sexual behavior onto them. Now, the only out to the logical inconsistency that I gave you earlier would be if you said that's the reason you're good for 6, because Deshaun was taking advantage of his stature as an NFL player in order to do this. But I have not heard a single person saying 6 games is fine say that. I have heard, yeah, 6-game suspension's good. There's no physical evidence. There's no proof that he did it. He's not convicted, So 6 games is good. Well, no, if he's not convicted and that's your standard, it should be no games. Or you're saying, well, there definitely was something, but not a lot of things. So I just don't understand. If you want to argue that Deshaun, I'm giving you your argument for you. If you want to argue that Deshaun violated the personal conduct policy by utilizing his stature as an NFL player in order to gain access to massage therapists from wherever, Instagram or whatever, and then attempt to take advantage of his power in that situation to gain sexual favors or force sexual favors on someone else, that's the best argument you got. But I ain't heard none of y'all make that argument yet. All right, let me take a break. Texter says, fans, so glad today is Rob's last day so we don't have to talk Watson for 3 more days. Rob, reset on vacation, and also Baker!
So what makes you sure the fill-in host won't talk about that?
I got news for you, dude. Do you know what hosts are talking about this today?
This is the biggest news in sports right now.
Do you know what hosts are talking about this today? All of them. All of them. You have to understand that while we like to pretend that sports and life exist in their own separate little bubbles, they do not. They are a Venn diagram. They cross over. Not always. A lot of the time they don't, but they do cross over. And when you have got the NFL making women fans, female fans, feel like they are not appreciated, respected, etc., and if you don't believe that that is the case, you should try talking to them. Because I have. NFL female fans feel disrespected by this. They feel like they're not valued by the National Football League because of this. Now, I have tried to explain. This is the judge's decision. This is the impartial agent's decision. This is the process. The NFL still ultimately has control over what Deshaun's suspension is, and they risk a lawsuit from Deshaun in the process. But the NFL has control over the suspension. The question's going to be, as we are now in day number 2 of their 3 days to file the appeal, do they? That will be where the real meat and potatoes of this comes up. Let's take a break. We'll come back, wrap up hour number 1 after this. My name is Rob Brown. The great one, Lonzo's on the board. You're listening to The Rob Brown Show. This is the Fan Upstate. Pardon me, stream. I shall return briefly.
You're right. He does look like vacation today. I'm jealous of him going on vacation. I apologize for yawning so much. Didn't sleep very well last night. trying to figure out what color Rob's shirt is. I went with magenta. I'm not quite sure if that's it. Not like we have a paint color palette in here where I could hold it up and go, yeah. And maybe they have one on the phone. I didn't think about that. I'll have to look at that. That's what phones are good for now, right? So there is magenta. And I think I might have been right. I think that's the color of Rob's shirt. We'll have to see when he comes back in. Is magenta a variation of purple or a variation of pink? So
Magenta.
So there we go. So there's let me.
It's hard to see shade.
No, it worked earlier, but then I got caught by something. I don't know. Oh, my phone's fading. That's why. Duh.
Oh, okay.
There we go. All right, so yeah, I think that's
magenta.
I think it's magenta.
This is maybe a shade darker.
I think we were right. I was about to do that, Josh. I was about to go to a paint store app to see if I could do it that way, but I just looked up magenta and it actually worked. It is Tinky Winky-ish. I agree, Stephen. It's Tinky Winky on vacation-ish. I can't take pictures of Rob because I'd have to pay him.
I am not royalty free, kids.
It's it's a rule, That's why you don't see many pictures of us together.
There's just one. Just the one. We really did only get one. We didn't even get the one with us holding the guitars and stuff.
Oh, we have it. No, we got that one. You just
did get that one?
You just aren't using it. Yeah.
I don't think I got that one.
Yeah, you did.
I'll go back and look.
But not when we were really rocking. No. I guarantee you we had more fun than anybody else, and we got like 2 pictures out of it. Probably my fault. You know the real reason why we didn't get all the pictures is because I had to wear khakis. and I tried to warn them. Because while wielding a keytar, you must wear jorts. That is the law. Mess with the universe. Probably, cause the pictures to smudge or something. So my stomach was hurting so bad last night that in my dream, I was holding my stomach the entire time. And telling people in the dream why I couldn't do whatever it was. I'm sorry, I'm hurting. I was like, in my dream, I'm doubled over holding my stomach, and I wake up holding my,
That's rough. That's rough.
So that is why I'm yawning so much.
Here we go, putting a bow on our numero uno. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. The Rob Brown Show's on your radio. Rob and Alonzo with you. Keegan asked in the Facebook chat, why would Greg Norman announce that Tiger Woods turned down the LIV Tour? Dumb business decision. That is an excellent question to which I don't have the answer other than Greg Norman has not been looking like a smart dude since the introduction of the LIV Tour. Greg Norman feels like a dude that like got emotionally wrapped up in this gig, that got hired because he's a big name, and then when it was time to do professional public relations stuff, was in over his head.
See, I disagree with you on this because they put out a number of $700 to $800 million.
Yep.
This is just an advertisement.
Just to say, we had an additional
we have
$700 to $800 million.
this much money. Tiger wouldn't take it. Maybe you want
You
it.
know what? That's a good thought. Lonzo, that's a great thought. You might not be wrong.
I mean, because we knew they were offering money. We didn't know to this amount.
Well, we knew it had been labeled a high 9-figure amount, right? We just didn't know how high. $700 to $800 million was the offer, according to Greg Norman. And Lonzo might be onto something there, because what you can't do is go to guys that are still remaining on the PGA Tour and go, by the way, we got $700 to $800 million that we were going to give LT Gray and he didn't take it, and now it's up for grabs, right? You can start putting that into bonuses. You can start creating, like we've talked about the team element of the LIV Tour, how there's multiple teams on the LIV Tour. You can have a team bonus. You can have individual performance bonuses. If you break a course record, that's an extra $1 million. If you get a hole-in-one, that's an extra $1 million, whatever the case might be. It basically lets you say without saying to the rest of the PGA Tour, yo, there is a Scrooge McDuck vault style of money somewhere, and it's got to go somewhere. We already planned on investing it. We were going to put it into Tiger, but Tiger was silly and said no to it. So that money's got to go to a golfer somewhere. Hey, maybe it's up for grabs moving forward.
I mean, think about it.
That's a great thought, Lonzo.
You're like, wait. They got that much? I was thinking about it now. I got to go. I got to go. No, I'm not going to get that much, but if they, you know.
I'm not getting LT Gray 700 to show up at the golf course, but if the LIV Tour goes, there's $800 million in bonuses available throughout the end of the year. Guys, there's only 48 guys on the tour. 800 million splits up a lot between 48 people, right? 48 people, 800 mil. That, I got to tell you, that did not strike me when that came out. And I think Lonzo may have just nailed it, right? My initial thought was the same as Keegan's. What a bad business decision. Why would you acknowledge that your tour can't get an over-the-hill, basically retired, far from his prime guy, even if he is the living face of the sport right now? Why would you admit that you could not hire that guy, that guy considers himself above you? And the answer is because Greg wasn't talking to Rob and Keegan and Lonzo. Greg was talking to the guy that's ranked number 78th in the world, who is qualified in PGA Tour events, but never places higher than 17 or 18 on the field, who now knows that the LIV Tour's got an extra 800 mil laying around that they are going to be distributing at some point. And if he runs over and jumps in, maybe a couple of those 700 to 800 mil end up in his bank account. That's a solid take. Texas says, fan, do you think the NFL should reassess their disciplinary plan? Why are we banning bettors and weed smokers, but lightly tapping Watson on the wrist? We can talk about that later on in the show. Stick around. 2 hours left. The Rob Brown Show rolls on. This is the Fan Upstate. We're right back. Stream, don't go anywhere.
I'm gonna, is fuchsia, is it a brighter shade than magenta? Because you could be right.
Yeah, it might be fuchsia. Let's see, fuchsia versus magenta. It's a fight for the ages. Fuchsia versus magenta. Fuchsia is usually a more purplish color, whereas magenta is more red. I'm going to go fuchsia then, right?
You might be right.
This is more purple than red for sure.
You always got to be right, Keegan. God.
Arrogant color guy.
I don't know. Did you really win? That you knew more shades of pink than I did? It depends on how you look at it. Okay, I want to know why they stopped. Almond Joy's got nuts, Mounds don't. So
Sometimes you feel like a nut.
So do they feel like it was being negative
Sometimes you
towards
don't.
Mounds, so they stopped because they're
They don't do
showing,
that song anymore?
No, they
Sometimes
they
you
changed the
feel like
jingle.
what is it now?
Other things. I forget what it said exactly, but it was not.
There's always sometimes you feel like a nut, sometimes you don't.
They did.
Almond Joy's how nuts.
I've heard this
Mounds
jingle a
don't.
couple times now. It's not catchy like Mounds don't. Good for you, Steven. I'm glad he came home and everything's good.
Not purpley enough to be in the revolution.
What?
And away we go. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. The second hour of the Rob Brown Show goes now. This is the Fan Upstate. Hello, Upstate South Carolina. Hello, America. Hello, world. How do you do? Great to be with you. I am Rob Brown. Directly across from me on the other side of the glass, metaphorically speaking, the alpha and the omega of the Fan Upstate, Colonel Grudge, hashtag Dad Kicks, the Sultan of Swag, the Professor of Perfection, the Wizard of Wave. He is the great one, Lonzo. We are glad to have you along for the ride, ladies and gentlemen. Your thoughts are welcome on the phone line at 844-FAN-PHONE, 844-326-3663, 844-326-3663. You may also shoot us a text message at 71307. Start your text with FAN, F-A-N, FAN, F-A-N, and we will read those texts on the air. You can also tweet us at The Rob Brown Show, at The Rob Brown Show, at Lonzo on Word, at Lonzo on Word. And you can tweet us all at The Fan Upstate. Texter tweets in, Lonzo. It's a work. It's always a work. Just ask Lonzo. It's always a work. Texter said, do you think the NFL should scratch that. Do you think the NFL should reassess their disciplinary plan? Why are we banning bettors and weed smokers but lightly tapping Watson on the wrist? All right. This is not a Watson segment, but it is an NFL segment. Not a segment. Part of a segment. We'll see. The problem is the NFL's disciplinary process, at least in the way that I interpret it, seems to be a case-by-case situation, yeah? It seems to be a case-by-case situation. Now, let's think about those three elements, right? Think about Calvin Ridley, indefinitely suspended, basically out for the year for gambling $1,500 on not Falcons games during the NFL season. Let's talk about Josh Gordon, who has been in and out of the league due to drug issues. Am I just scratching your Twitter topics off one by one right now?
It's all right. I got 2 more hours.
Okay.
I'll find some.
All right.
There are topics that I put down in the beginning that I'm pretty sure are going to be talked about,
Sure.
but if they aren't,
Stay right there. I like
right.
it. That's why he's the best in the game, ladies and gentlemen. They don't call him the best color man in the business for nothing. Bob Uecker. All right.
Now I'm tempted to be that guy the rest of the show.
Have at, pal.
No. That guy who's talking about said nothing the entire time.
Just a bit outside. So, the NFL's disciplinary process, at least it feels to me, is effectively case by case, right? There's a big difference between Josh Gordon, Calvin Ridley, and Deshaun Watson. Sure, we know that. That's obvious. But there's another difference that matters more. And the bigger difference that matters more in this is that the NFL has evidence of what Calvin Ridley did to break the rules, right? To violate whatever policy it is that prevents gambling if you're an NFL player. Josh Gordon, there is evidence that he violated the rules in using illicit substances not allowed by the National Football League, at least not at the point that it happened. As has been pointed out by many a contrarian radio host over the past 24 hours, there is no evidence, hard evidence, court-accepted evidence, enterable in a criminal court case to prove that Deshaun Watson did what Deshaun Watson is accused of. Now, it's a pretty if there's smoke, there's fire situation to a lot of fans, right? How likely is it that these 30 women ultimately, or it was 25 women that filed suits, got together collectively and were like, all right, let's just all make up, let's just get the whole story together, right? Let's just get our whole story together. Now, I'm not saying that hasn't happened in the past. Sure it has. The Duke lacrosse story comes into play. Remember that one? You had a young lady who accused the Duke lacrosse team of sexual assault, and Duke lacrosse effectively got disbanded. Players lost scholarships. The coach got let go. They all basically had their college careers ruined. And then a couple of weeks later, the receipts came out that young woman was lying. That being said, I understand you got to take that in consideration. But these young women came forward separately at different times, all told the same story. Many of them brought elements of receipts like Instagram DMs, etc. So the NFL had to look at this, but they cited in the report, or Judge Robinson cited in the report, precedent set by the National Football League. And the precedent, post-Ben Roethlisberger, was a 6-game suspension, right? So if you're Roger Goodell, you've got to keep in mind that when you go, and I believe he will, change the suspension of Deshaun Watson. I don't know if they move to 8 games or 10 or 12 or a full 17-game season or what. I don't know. But if they go and change the suspension of Deshaun Watson, what they know is that there's going to be a lawsuit from Deshaun coming that says, wait a minute, you suspended Ben Roethlisberger, who did the same thing that I did, for just 6 games. And by the way, his suspension actually got decreased after that. What did it go down to? 4 or 2? I don't remember. But you actually decreased his suspension. Now you're giving me a bigger suspension. Where the NFL falls is that they've created a disciplinary process, and I don't know that they had another option. But you've created a disciplinary process where you have to look at everything as a case-by-case basis. And once you've created a precedent for punishment and somebody falls within that precedent, which, although it's more extreme, Deshaun Watson does, you've got to stick with that punishment or you risk a big-time lawsuit. And it's not so much the facing of the lawsuit, it's the potential to lose the lawsuit. Right? Because in losing the lawsuits, not only would Deshaun Watson now still be owed his full salary from the Browns, but you'd be on the hook for damages. You'd be on the hook for damages to his name and reputation. You'd be, if you lose, be on the hook for, damages to losses to his income, et cetera, right? So the NFL has to kind of weigh that a little bit. What was done by Calvin Ridley, while we all look at it and go, who cares? It was very clearly against the rules, and there was very clearly evidence that he did the thing he's accused of. He did it, right? It's kind of like going 2 or 3 over on the highway. If you were doing the speed limit and somebody goes past you 2 or 3 miles an hour faster than you, most of us are like, okay. If you are going 2 or 3 miles over the speed limit and you get pulled over by a cop and written a ticket, you're going to go, well, that sucks. But I was doing it, right? But I was speeding. What the argument here is, somebody told the cops that Deshaun was speeding. There were multiple cars that said Deshaun sped by him, but the cops do not have him on a radar gun. They don't have him on a camera speeding. They just have 30 cars that said he sped by, like faster than the acceptable speed limit. You can't make a case on that, right? Not a criminal case. And what the NFL has to face is, do we want to punish him for what he's alleged to have done? I don't know. We'll see. We'll see how that plays out. All right, that's all we'll do on that. I guess I would need to ask, how would you change the disciplinary process, right? Is it time for it to change? I am open to the answer being yes. The question is, how are you going to change it? What is the better method, right? It's one thing. I always use the example when people say, well, if you're not providing a solution, don't complain. And I think that's a bad way to approach life. It's a bad way to approach. The example I always use is, I don't need to be a Michelin star caliber chef to send my steak back when it is burnt at the restaurant, right? I don't need to be, what's his name? Steve Hofstetter is a comedian. And he said at one point, he said, I don't need to know how to fly a helicopter to be able to say that guy's screwed up if I see one stuck in a tree, right? If I'm walking down the road and I see a helicopter hanging upside down in a tree, I don't need to know how to fly a helicopter to go, pretty sure that's wrong. Pretty sure that's not how it's supposed to be. It is fair to look at the NFL's disciplinary process and go, it's not working great. This is not good, without offering another solution. But I am saying, I would like to know what the other solutions might be. What's your thought? What's your idea? Right? Because again, it's not just about, well, we'll do this if X, and we'll do that if Y, and we'll do that if Z. It's, we'll do this if X, but what about if it's X but a little bit worse? What if it's X but not quite as bad? Same punishment, lesser punishment, more punishment. Knowing that you are talking about multi-million-dollar lawsuits coming down if you go too far one direction or the other, right? Let's say you suspended Ben for 6. Deshaun being suspended for 6 fits. If you suspend Deshaun for 10, Deshaun might come back and hit you with the lawsuit of, hey, I was never criminally convicted. I was never taken to court. I did not lose any civil trials. I did the same. I was accused of the same thing that Ben Roethlisberger is accused of, and you gave him 6, but you gave me 8. That's costing me more money. I'm suing you for that those lost wages, and the damage is done to my name in the process. And you might lose. That's a big risk for the league. A league who, at their core, at their essence, the only thing that matters is dollar bills, y'all. Right? So it makes it a sticky situation that, yes, I doubt there are a ton of people who have looked at the NFL's disciplinary process over the years and gone, this is good and working well. Not really. There's some major problems. But I also know there's not a lot of people that are offering up solutions that you go, that's a good idea, right? Because it's complicated as hell. It really is. Like I said, I can point at the helicopter in the tree and go, the guy flying it screwed up. But if you ask me, all right, Rob, how would you have flown the helicopter better? I got no idea. I've been in helicopters. I know how they work. I know the basic principles. I know the physics behind it. The big one on the top creates lift, and the one on the back spins to go direction. I got that part. I'm pretty sure you push the stick forward to go forward and pull it back to go left and right. I got no idea how to make it go up and down. But I don't need to see that if a dude planted one in a tree, he did it wrong. So I don't know. It's a weird situation. All right, let's take a break. When we come back, you know what? I got to tell you, Lonzo, I woke up this morning and I got dressed and I took the dog out. And it felt football-y outside. I know. Because it's not football season.
Oh, it's absolutely football season. You're the only one I know who doesn't think it's football season.
It's not football season, but I stepped outside this morning and feels like football out here. Little crisp in the air. Not cool, but cooler. Little crisp in the air. The grass felt a little more lush than it does, you know? Thursday night, y'all. So, let's talk some preseason football when we come back. I'm Rob, he's Lonzo, you're you listening to The Rob Brown Show on the Fan Upstate.
schools in Minneapolis and Stan in central Indiana, taking control of everything that's under your control. At Granger, we're here for you with experienced branch staff at over 250 locations so you get the product you're looking for. Call, clickgranger.com, or just stop by. Granger, for the ones who get it done.
Prescription products require an online consultation with a healthcare provider who will determine if a prescription is appropriate. Restrictions apply. See website for full details and important safety information.
This message is for the guy who isn't perfect in the bedroom. And let's be honest, who is? Maybe the issue is getting it up, or keeping it up, or maybe it's finishing too soon. If any of these performance hiccups sound familiar to you, don't sweat it. Hims can help. At 4hims.com, you can go online and get clinically proven prescription medication that treats these issues prescribed for you if appropriate by licensed medical providers. And the medication is shipped free to your door in discreet packaging. Plus, Hims gives you unlimited follow-up visits with medical providers. No one is perfect in the bedroom every time, but with Hims, you can get a lot closer than before, and chances are your partner will agree.
To get started today, go to 4hims.com/perfect. That's 4hims.com/perfect for your free visit. FORHIMS.com/PERFECT.
There's nothing worse than coming home from a hot day to find out that your AC unit isn't working.
I mean, he is
An HVAC company you can trust. A company like Priority Heating and Air. Their HVAC specialist will give your system a thorough checkup. And if you need a new unit, Priority Heating and Air is
It's going to be such a good show, too.
I'll stand up and cheer for you.
Because you the deuce.
And we the one.
Back after this on the Rob Brown Show, this is the Fan Upstate.
Heating and Air, HVAC.com.
Tired of companies like Google and Facebook
.com/.
online? There's actually a simple solution. DuckDuckGo.
Always
All-in-one private
favorite.
search with built-in private search engine, web browser, network data clearing, email protection, and more. Today, and get the most comprehensive privacy protection.
Live on the beach, any music is going to be.
Privacy. Whether it's a bad gig, throbbing back pain, or a hit that has you hopping, nothing matters more than getting you back to doing your best. As South Carolina's most preferred orthopedic provider and official team doctor for the Gamecocks and Tigers,
Think he moves at all.
Health provides all the care you need. With more expertise, more technology, and more locations closer to you, we're doing even more to help you be your healthiest you. Personal Health, the orthopedic experts.
This feature is sponsored by Nature Valley. Nature Valley is giving away back-to-school gear for free at the Retalk Shop on TikTok. Show how you reduce, reuse, or
Back after this.
recycle with #RetalkForNature. And you could be served a code unlocking one free item. While supplies last, terms and conditions apply.
This report is sponsored by Family Dollar. At Family
Two
Dollar, we got more
of their 3 days to file the appeal. Do they?
your day the right way.
One Lonzo's on the board. You're listening to the Rob Brown Show. This is the Fan Upstate.
Selection of apparel and footwear for the entire family. Family Dollar, helping you do more.
Listen on the Odyssey app. Search the Fan Upstate.
The Rob Brown Show rolls on. It is the Fan Upstate. Rob, Lonzo, and you. Phone lines are open for you at 844-FAN phone, 844-FANFONE, 844-326-3663. Can also text the radio broadcast on the Preferred Home Services text line at 71307. Start your text with FAN, F-A-N. We shall read them on the air. So, yesterday, the Carolina Panthers strapped on the hats for the first time, went full, well, not the hats, they've been wearing helmets, but the shoulder pads for the first time went full gear. There was no Sunday practice. Yesterday, week 2 of training camp started back in Spartanburg, South Carolina. And we saw the shoulder pads. We saw the shells come out for the first time. What exactly are we looking for in week number 2 of Carolina Panthers camp? The easy one, obviously, the easy one is what quarterback will emerge, right? We know the competition is between Darnold and Mayfield. between Baker Mayfield and Sam Darnold. I can do this. The vacation brain is engaged.
Got an hour and 37 minutes.
I know.
left.
Competition is between Darnold and Mayfield. Which one of those two guys steps up? Day one in full gear, Sam Darnold took reps with the first team. Today, Baker Mayfield will take reps with the first team. As it stands, from what I have seen back on Saturday, from what I have been able to follow, and it's really interesting because I have found that the majority of teams are forbidding fans from filming practice, right? Which I get. Kind of takes away from some of the fun if you're there, but I understand why. Most of the teams are forbidding fans from taking video, so we do not have a ton of video to work off of. We're basically relying on the guys and gals that are in the Berg covering this team in person to relay good information to us. But from what I've been able to follow so far, from what I've been getting so far, it appears that Baker looks better. He looks aggressive. He's taking shots down the field. He's obviously only had a week and a half to learn Ben McAdoo's playbook, whereas Sam Darnold and Matt Corral have had months to do so since the hiring of Ben McAdoo.
I have watched several Baker Mayfield, answering questions. It's not a press conference. It's, him answering questions after practice. I'm looking for that immature guy who needs to grow up. And because I don't see that guy. I see a guy very knowledgeable, joking, answering every question, does not want to talk about Cleveland, says he doesn't go there anymore, basically, and that it's concentrating on the Panthers because several people have asked him about the situation in Cleveland, and he's like, I'm done with that. Here, I'm in Carolina. And he's talking about the installments of plays and things like that, and I am looking for that immature guy. I mean, I'm sure he's probably going to show up some on Sundays when he starts because he's going to. But for now, I don't see the guy that those guys are talking about.
Completely agreed. Baker has seemed like a pro so far, away from the field. And he seemed like a pro on it too. But can I tell you what's been interesting? While everybody's got eyes turned towards Sammy D and Bake, Matt Corral has been impressing people. Matt Corral, in fact, as I say that, a text comes in on the text line that says Corral is more accurate than any of the other quarterbacks.
Yeah, but it's in practice. You know what we're going to see? We're going to see more of Matt Corral than anybody in the preseason.
We talking about practice.
Right.
Not a game. Not a game we love. We talk about practice. But yes, I have seen that. Matt Corral seems to be impressing people. Again, we're going into day number 2 of full gear. And we're not even talking about full contact football yet.
So this is we can't call for the backup like they do in places when there's a struggle because the backup is going to probably be Sam Darnold. So we're going to just go straight to number 3, Matt Corral.
So I will say a couple of things. Numero uno. Cool you Jets. Because Matt Corral has looked good spinning the beam. But, with a capital but. But.
The big old butt.
A big old butt. Matt Corral has been running with the 3s. And if you are running with the 3s, do you know who you're running against? The 3s. So let's not get too fired up yet. Now, I'm not saying the kid can't be good. He might be. I'm saying maybe let's not eject Baker quite yet for the third-string quarterback. Again, Matt Corral might be good. But you got to trust that Matt Rule, if he sees that Matt Corral is ready, he'll give him a crack. He'll move him up to the 2s. Hey, Sam, we're going to drop you down to the 3s for 1 week and let Matt get some XP. Matt's going to get, as Lonzo said, plenty of preseason snaps. Starting in what? 9 days? He's going to get plenty of preseason snaps, no doubt about it. So maybe let's just take a break, all right? Yes, impressive so far. But slow down just a bit. Let's let Bake work. Let's give him another couple of weeks to learn the offense. Let's give him another couple of weeks to build that chemistry with DJ and Robbie and Tommy and the boys. Let's give him some time. Remember, Robbie Anderson did not want Baker Mayfield in Carolina. Now, he's his starting QB. It might take a couple of days for them to get comfortable. Baker was reading the press clippings when Robbie said, no, to number 6 showing up in silver and blue. It's going to take some time to build chemistry between him and Robbie, between him and DJ, between him and Tommy, between him and the rest of the wide receivers and the tight ends. Give him a shot. Give him some time. Slow his roll just a little bit, man. Slow his roll just a little bit. That's going to be the big question. Which QB steps up and steps out? Mayfield continues to assimilate. Let me quote Ellis Williams covering Panthers camp for the Charlotte Observer. Here's how he described the QB battle right now. There is no hierarchy. The Panthers quarterback competition is a gridlocked tie and will likely remain so for a while. Sometimes Mayfield flashes. Other times he makes a poor decision. He's playing in a foreign system, throwing to new guys he met less than 2 weeks ago. While Mayfield assimilates, Darnold remains steadily less than impressive, but consistently better.
You know, I didn't get to go to camp Saturday, but they were broadcasting the first hour of practice, and I watched it, and I watched closely to the point that I've heard made a ton, and that's that Sam Darnold's not throwing over 5 yards. And the entire time I watched, I didn't see him throw, maybe he hit a 6 yards, but that's it. And that is a concern.
Yeah, that's been the take, is that Sam Darnold is playing the role of check down king right now. Right? When he's out there running full tilt offense drills, it's been checkdowns. You can't do that. You can't do that. I understand it is very tempting.
That's how Christian McCaffrey got hurt.
Thank you. That's what I was going to say. I know it is very tempting to become captain checkdown when 22 is your checkdown guy. NFL quarterbacks beg to have a check down option like Christian McCaffrey. Beg to have it.
I don't know about everybody else out there, but I'd rather have a quarterback willing to take a shot down the field, even if it ends up in an interception every once in a while, rather than only throwing 5 to 6 yards every single play.
Yeah. You cannot run an offense utilizing only inside check routes, right? You're just going to have DJ and Robbie run crossing 5-yard ends every time. It's not going to work. And if neither one of those is there, give it to McCaffrey. You're going to get McCaffrey killed, right? You got to limit his touches this year. As good as he is, he's got to be used as much as a decoy as he is a genuine running back, genuine scat back, genuine pass receiver check down option, right? So the fact that we are going into week 2 and Sam Darnold has remained captain checkdown is concerning for him. Here's why. Again, we're going into week 2. Again, Baker has met his wide receivers effectively 2 weeks ago. I don't care how personable you are, how charismatic you are. You are not going to develop the best possible personal rapport with a coworker, especially in a field that is emotional all the time in 14 days. It's not going to happen. I don't care especially considering in that 14 days, Baker had to move his family from Ohio to Carolina, get to know the coaching staff, spend a lot of time in the books. Like, he had to spend as much time in the books as the Cardinals wanted Kyler Murray to do it, right? He's not able to be like, yo, Robbie, let's go grab dinner this week every night. Get to know each other, right? Don't work like that. So the fact that Baker Mayfield and Sam Darnold are, quote, effectively deadlocked, end quote, a week and a half in a camp, Baker's got Sammy D dead to rights, and they just put on shoulder pads. Yeah, I think he's the starter. I think he's the starter. And the fact that there is already oodles of praise being heaped on Matt Corral is kind of big too. So I'm intrigued by that. Second thing we got to keep an eye on. What's this offensive line going to look like, right? What's this offensive line going to look like? The best quarterback in the world. If he's getting killed every time they go out and play a game, doesn't matter, right?
Yeah, look what happened to Patrick Mahomes in the Super Bowl. That's what happens when you got a really good quarterback and no line at all.
That's exactly right. Hell, look what happened to Joey Burrow in the end of this year's Super Bowl. And that's not to say the Bengals had a bad offensive line. They didn't. They had a pretty good offensive line. But the Rams' defensive line was so dominant late in that game that Joey B was running for his life, right? Can't have it. So it's interesting. The offensive line drafted Ikem Ekwonu at number 6. Austin Corbett comes in. Big deal there. Targeted Bradley Bozeman in free agency. I mean, they retooled the offensive line. But just like we talked with Baker, it takes time to build some chemistry. It takes time to build chemistry. It takes time to get everybody moving at the same speed, reading from the same book. You got 2 weeks. Defensively, the defensive line, this team should be good. We know Carolina had one of the better defenses in the league last year. They didn't show it every game. They had a couple of games they fell apart. But we know that this team has one of the better defenses in the game. Brian Burns, Derek Brown, Yetur Gross-Matos, who I think, by the way, might be a breakout star this year. And in practice, they have been dominating the offensive line. They have been disrupting the offensive line. They have prevented the offensive line from getting comfortable in pass pro. The good news for Carolina is that your defensive line is very good. And so it's almost at least a little bit understandable from the offensive line because you're going up against one of the better defensive lines in football. However, if you want to win playoff games, you're going to face the better defensive lines in football relatively consistently. I need better. It takes longer for an offensive line to gel than a defensive line, right? As defensive lines go, it's a lot of individuality. The left end is stunting this way. The right end stunts that way. The left tackle stunts this way. The right tackle stunts that way. You fill the C gap. You fill the B gap. You fill the A gap. You fill the C gap. Linebackers push up to fill the rest. That's basic football. Offense, on the other hand, you got a lot of moving parts. You got to make sure everybody's in the same pass protection scheme. If you got guys pulling, you got to make sure they're pulling together. If you've got to call out reads at the line of scrimmage, your center needs to be communicating to the guards who are communicating to the tackles on both sides. All right, he's over there. He's shifted. That linebacker is pushed left. That means the blocking scheme changes this way. That takes time to gel. It doesn't entirely surprise me or shock me that the defensive line, as good as they are dominating the offensive line. The question is going to be, can the offensive line get caught up? That's all I'm looking for over the next 2 days. Now that the offensive line can disrupt what the defensive line wants to do because they can hit them, right? It's one thing for the D-line to hit a certain stunt in a certain order when all you can do as an offensive lineman is put your hand on a shoulder. It's another thing when the offensive line can fire off the football and make contact with the DL. Now you can interrupt those stunts. Now you can shove a guy out of the assignment gap, try to open that gap up for your running back before the linebacker can fill it. You can get to the second level and shove the linebackers out of the way. So now that these guys can go, now that these guys can strap it on and go make some contact, the question next is going to be, will the offensive line make up some ground to the defensive line? That's all I'm looking for. I'm not asking for them to beat them. I'm not asking for them to dominate them. I'm not asking them to go out there and do something bananas. I am asking them, can you disrupt what they have been doing to dominate you without pads? If the answer is yes, you got to wake up feeling a little bit more confident if you're Baker Mayfield. Let's take a break. We'll come back. We'll wrap up hour numero dos to the Rob Brown Show and head to the final hour of the week for me. The great one's on the board. My name is Rob Brown. Remember, Carter Bryant's going to be with you. Unfortunately, Cole had to pull out. So Carter B is going to be with you starting tomorrow, taking you all the way up through next Tuesday. I will be back next Wednesday. The Rob Brown Show rolls on. This is the Fan Upstate. Did you know that? Sorry.
Yes.
Check with you before.
Yes, you and I even talked about it yesterday. But, that's fine.
I thought you told me Carter was coming in for one more day.
No, we talked about it after the show. Was in a meeting for a while, and I come back and I sit down, and you and I were talking about it in the office. And I said something about it, and you're like, yeah, I just learned and I was going to tell you. It's okay.
I'm dumb.
No. Most people don't remember conversations with me, except for the listeners, because they love me. Everybody else is just like, yeah, it's just buzzing noise.
Will you guys soothe Lonzo's ego while I hit the restroom?
I am his memory. That, Luke, is a question you need to ask him.
The Rob Brown Show rolls on. This is the Fan Upstate.
And if I had the kind of ego that, being accused of, I'd be distraught right now. But one good thing about it is, the fact that people don't remember conversations with me is that I can manipulate, whatever they're saying to me and, feign surprise or whatever. It's. It's like that shy, quiet guy in the back of the room. You think that he just doesn't want to talk, but that dude's actually listening. That's what he's doing. Learning secrets. You know what I'm saying? Learning little secrets. And then there's the fact that Rob's already on vacation, even though he's not on vacation. We've all been there. Well, I can tell you one thing, Luke, here, and I can speak for Rob on this because he won't remember if I said it or not.
Oh, my God.
Is that we will always try to respond to you.
We wouldn't do this show if it wasn't for you guys. So
we absolutely would do this show without people. But if we do it without
Sure,
you,
they pay us anyway.
if we do it without
that
you,
less fun.
eventually we won't have a job because no one's listening. But I'm not being anti-Rob right now because that would prove that I have the kind of ego that he just accused me of having, and I would never do such a thing. But don't give someone the moniker of Colonel Grudge and not expect them to actually, use that. I just want, as has been said many times, and Rob's heard this used by someone else in the building, I just want Rob to be right. And like I said, he's already on vacation. Look at him. He's not even hearing half the stuff I'm saying now. He's hearing
No, I'm just ignoring.
It's not luau music that you hear in the Dominican. I don't know what is it, like steel drums or
It's
something?
like Latin music, man.
Is it?
Yeah,
Okay.
it's like a-
All right.
it's like
All right.
Latin American
Again, I'll never go. So what kind of percentages are we talking about, Luke? How much do you agree with Rob? So if you agree with Rob like 5% of the time and you only agree with Mark 2% of the time, you still agree with Rob more.
All right, wrapping up hour number 2 of the Rob Brown Show right here on the Fan Upstate. I am Rob Brown, the great one Lonzo at the helm. Gamecocks start camp on Friday.
Is that when football season really starts for you?
No, it's still camp.
Okay.
Although we do have a
All
game
right.
Thursday, so football.
I'm trying to help everybody out here. I'm not coming at you because I would never be that guy. Just trying to help everybody out.
Gamecocks open fall practice on Friday. Shane Beamer's second campaign will begin September 3rd against Georgia State. And, we asked what questions do we want to see the Panthers try to answer now that they're in pads in week 2 of camp. Do the same thing for the Gamecocks. And there's a handful of them. We know that Spencer Rattler is the starting quarterback. But what Spencer Rattler are we going to get? Are we going to get Oklahoma freshie Spencer Rattler? Are we going to get the guy that led the build up to being named a Heisman Trophy favorite in Vegas? Or are we going to get Oklahoma sophomore Spencer Rattler? Are we going to get the Spencer Rattler that was a complete and total letdown from a Heisman Trophy perspective as a favorite in Las Vegas going into the season? I've given you guys my opinion on it a million times. I think the pressure was probably too much for Spencer Rattler in Oklahoma. The expectations in Norman were Heisman Trophy, natty, right? Put Oklahoma back on the nap. The expectations in South Carolina, with all due respect to my Gamecock fans, is not natty. It's not national championship. Hell, let's be honest, the expectations aren't even to win the division this year. What's the expectations in Columbia? Vegas says 6 wins. Vegas says the expectation is 500, which to me says I want 7, right? Let's win all 6 of the games we're supposed to win and one of the ones that we're not. I'd love to win 2. I'd love to go 8-4. But if Vegas says 6, I'll set the expectation at 7, right? Let's improve. Let's get better. The expectations in Carolina for 7 wins, not a division, not a conference, not a natty, not a Heisman. The expectations are put yourself back in the NFL conversation and go get 7 wins. That's all. Now, the bigger question to me is, who's he throwing to? Who's he throwing to? South Carolina's offense had issues last year. They rotated through quarterbacks. The offensive line was questionable. and there were limited playmakers. Good news is you get some of them back. Van is back. Brown is back. Joyner is back. Leggett is back. Brooks is back. You add in the transfers of James Madison receiver Antoine Wells and Arkansas State receiver Corey Rucker Jr., and all of a sudden, I need 4 of those guys to pan out, right? If 4 of those guys live up to expectations, South Carolina could arguably have as deep of a wide receiver pool as anybody in the conference. And that's the SEC. I just need 4 of those guys to reach expectations. Wells, Rucker, Van, Brown, Joyner, Leggett, Brooks. I need 4 to step up and be the guy. I need a top 3. I need a rotating 4th. I'll take those odds. I'll take the odds that 4 guys have a good season out of that group. It really is, in my opinion, up to Spencer Rattler. He should have a better offensive line. I'm not arguing it's going to be Bama's offensive line. I'm not arguing it's going to be Georgia's offensive line. I'm saying it's going to be a better offensive. It's going to be a better offensive line. You should not be in a shootout with Georgia State like you were with ECU. It shouldn't be.
There's only one person on this entire team who has pressure on them, and that's Spencer Rattler. Nobody else has pressure on them. Beamer doesn't have pressure on him yet. Everyone's loving what he's doing and believes that it might take him a year or 2 to get where he needs to get. I don't think he has any kind of pressure on him at all. The one person with pressure is Spencer Rattler. He kind of folded under it, it would seem, where he was before. Can he handle it here? It's not the same kind of expectations, but there's still more expectations for him than any other player on the team.
100% right from top to bottom. Drastically different expectations than there were under Lincoln Riley. As I just said, expectations were Heisman Natty Conference. Expectations in Carolina, 7 wins. But when he transferred over and the Gamecocks fans started celebrating, yeah, that pressure's on, man. That pressure's absolutely on him. At least it should be. So we know who he's going to throw to. He's got a good list of wide receivers. Like I said, if Spencer Rattler is going to perform, this is as good of a place as any to do it. They have got experienced veteran playmakers at wide receiver. The offensive line will not be as bad as it was last year. And last year, they had a couple of games. Go back to that Florida game last year at home. They trounced the Gators. And they did so slinging the rock around the field.
I thought they had a pretty good bowl game, too.
Had a great bowl game against Carolina with a wide receiver converted to quarterback. Right? If Joyner can step in there and do what he did during the bowl game, Spencer Rattler had better be able to do every bit of it better. Right? Otherwise, Rattler's going to go down as one of the most disappointing recruits of all time. This is his shot. Better offensive line. Got the wide receiver group to make moves happen. Without a doubt about it. Without a doubt about it. Second question that I think is an absolutely fair one to ask is the defensive line. Right? The defensive line. You know what you are up against in the Southeastern Conference if you are South Carolina. You know what Georgia has. You know what you're going to face out of Florida, out of Tennessee. You saw it all last year. And even under Heupel, Tennessee's still going to want to run the ball. Georgia's going to want to run the ball down your throat. They don't want to rely on Stetson Bennett IV to be the guy, right?
From a coaching staff, as far as that goes, though, are you aiming for Georgia? Are you aiming for the next tier? Are you going tier to tier? Get better this year than you were than all these guys before you can compete with Georgia?
You want the coach speak answer or the real answer?
The real answer.
The coach speak answer is, well, I believe we can beat anybody in this damn conference. The real answer is no. The real answer is let's go be 8-4. Hell, let's go get 9-3, right? You know, we know Georgia's good. We know Georgia's on a different level right now. You know who shouldn't be? Tennessee, Kentucky, Missouri. You got to go beat those teams. You go beat Kentucky, Tennessee, Missouri. Now all of a sudden, what's next? Now Georgia's next. And you start beating those teams. This recruiting, which has been pretty good for Shane Beamer so far, gets that much better. All right, 1 hour left. We got Faces and Heels coming up in the next hour because I want to. And I'll say goodbye for a week. Just a week. Relax. Well, I hope just a week. We'll find out. He's Lonzo. I'm Rob. The Rob Brown Show's on your radio. 1 hour left. This is the Fan Upstate.
Just want to point out, Luke, that I nailed the 2%. All right, I hate that we've done this two days in a row, but we're going to be giving away tickets in the 11 o'clock hour 2 days in a row. Let's do it going into the first break.
Going into the first break.
Yeah.
10-4.
So I can make sure I'm a little more thorough on the things I have to ask. The Macho Man thing is cool, but it's still not that haunting whistle.
Did somebody replace the dragon with Macho Man?
Yeah. You ever played Fallout before?
I put it on a little while ago when you were playing 76, and I didn't really super get into it, but it's also one of those games that I would enjoy much more if I played with friends than by myself.
Fallout 4 is a single game experience.
Is that the Vegas one?
No, it's Boston.
Okay.
There are things called something claws. They're huge, but they replace the claws with they call them macho claws. So they come out when they attack you. And they're going, they're attacking. It's disturbing.
Oh, can't you see? You belong to me. Bopper? Did you say I'm Bopper?
I think it might be Bob Burt.
Bobbert?
Bob Burt, I think.
Bobbert.
First name Bob, last name
I
Burt.
got it. His name's Bobbert.
I think that's what I heard.
Ooh, somebody just put up a picture of Becky's shoulder when it's genuinely hurt. And it's gross.
So she's really hurt, and they let her get attacked last night?
Irresponsible Triple H. I'm done with WWE.
It's horrible. You know, you think Vince is gone, they won't change names anymore, and they changed Io Shirai to Io Sky. But I kind of get why they did that. Yeah.
I got that one. I don't love it, but I got it.
And plus, from a marketing standpoint, the T-shirts and stuff they could do with that. At least she still has two names, though.
Yeah. He's not just Io.
Could be Max Dupree. Prisma.
The third, the final, the best, the money hour of the Rob Brown Show goes now. This is the Fan Upstate. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. It's great to have you along for the ride. I am Rob Brown, the great Lonzo behind the board today, and you are welcome on the phone lines at 844-FAN-PHONE, 844-FANFONE, 844-326-3663. You can also text us on the Preferred Home Services text line at 71307. Start your text with FAN, F-A-N. Start your text with FAN to 71307. We'll read them on the air. You can also, if you are so inclined and a Twitterer like us, you can tweet us at The Rob Brown Show, at The Rob Brown Show. You can tweet Lonzo at Lonzo on Word. And you can text everybody at the station at The Fan Upstate, at The Fan Upstate. All the different ways to get in touch with the radio broadcast. We'd love to have you. All right. A couple of things I wanted to get into as we wrap up the radio broadcast this week. I am going to take a brief moment to stand up in defense of one Dabo Swinney. Dabo, over the weekend, because if there's one thing that reporters get an opportunity to do and will not miss, it is to ask Dabo about the transfer portal or NIL, right? I have been to 3 events around Dabo so far in the last 6 to 8 months. And it's like every single time that Dabo's got a mic in front of him, whether it's ACC Media Days or a Clemson Booster event or whatever, and reporters get a crack at Dabo. It's to the point that even I am getting frustrated because it's like, guys, you've got the head coach of a football program that is coming off of a 10-win season they considered disappointing.
Hey, Dabo, Lonzo here, fan upstate. I got a question for you. You said transfer portal. You're not for that. How's it feel to be stuck on the Roy bus for the rest of your entire career, which won't be long if you don't take some transfers, Dabo? I have a follow up too if you come back to me.
Yeah, go ahead, haired one.
The follow up thing was the joke.
Oh.
Yeah. Don't roll.
Oh, I was waiting to see where you were going to go next. I was in. Anyway.
That is the accent of all the media that talk to Dabo, by the way.
I got to tell you, and I don't mean to.
Hate me, I don't care.
I certainly don't mean to insult other media members in the area. I'm a really nice guy. In fact, I've made friends with a lot of local media guys.
But I'm surprised that they're asking him hard questions, period, or not, because there's kind of a reputation there that if you ask certain coaches from wherever, whether it's Alabama or places like that, if you ask the hard questions, and you talked about it before, you ask too hard of a question,
you get cut off. Yeah.
And that's where you make your money. So yeah. I get it, but
it's why fellas don't answer the question, honey, do I look fat in this dress, honestly? Because the answer is yes, but I'm not trying to get cut off.
The answer is never, no, not in a dress. Probably not the way to go.
Yeah. Because you're not trying to get cut off, right? So,
or maybe you love that person and you don't want to hurt their feelings. Maybe that's part of it, too. I mean, it could be.
Little column A, little column B. The media at this point, I think, asks Dabo Swinney these questions for two reasons. Number one, is there anybody here that's curious as to how Dabo feels about the transfer portal? Do any of you have any questions about where Dabo stands on this thing right now?
I think the most important question is, how's the team look?
Yeah.
How are you guys going to do this year?
Yeah.
Why
What do you think about
Why don't you
DJ?
throw the tight ends more?
Right.
Which is, back when I unfortunately had to run his call-in show a little bit, back when we carried Clemson on one of the stations. Always that question. Hey, Dabo, why don't you use the tight ends more?
If there's anybody that is confused at this point in life about where Dabo stands on the transfer portal, I would like to know the rock that you have lived under, because I'd also like to take a break from reality as a whole. Sounds nice. That's why I'm leaving town for a week. Just a break from reality. We all need one. Anywho, ain't nothing that media loves more when they get a chance to interview Dabo than to ask him about the transfer portal. And I got to tell you, I'm kind of over it at this point, right? Like, I'm kind of over it. Stop asking him. He's made his thoughts known. You got 10 minutes with him at any given opportunity. Why would you ask him about that again? Anyway, Sweeney asked about the transfer portal, said, quote, "We're not a catch and release type program. If we can't get the best high school kids anymore, then we'll have to adjust," end quote.
I think catch and release that is a great term, because that's exactly what it is becoming. So I like that phrase.
So here's the thing. I get it. I understand that. In fact, I even respect that belief. I get it. As my comrade and colleague in arms, Matt Ryan.
Hey, you're on vacation.
Matty Ice.
How could you possibly forget that guy's name?
As Mark Ryan is
With
so
a
fond
C,
of saying.
by the way.
Yes.
With a C.
Yes. As Mark Ryan is so fond of saying, hey, dig it. I want guys who want to be guys. I want guys who want to be Tigers or Gamecocks or Gators or Sooners or Knowles or Trojans or whatever.
Gators!
I want guys who want to be here. And I get that. I respect that. I think that the message I think that the concept gets a little bit lost in not understanding that guys you don't just be born wanting to be a Gator or be born wanting to be a Tiger or a Gamecock or a Knoll or a Trojan or a Bulldog. There's a reason you become one. Maybe it's because your family was one. Maybe it's because you went and you had a kick-ass recruiting run. Maybe it's because you dated a girl who was a big fan and you adopted her team. Whatever the reason might be, right? But I also understand where Sweeney's coming from, right? Not wanting to go just grab guys as effectively, I'm sure in his attitude, guys that are effectively mercenaries for hire, right? I'm not happy at my school. I'm going to go somewhere else. Oh, well, we'll take you. We'll make you happy here. I will say, as I have before, and I even hate doing this because I feel like I'm falling into the trap these media dudes have started with these questions. I will say that I think there is some element of precaution I would send to Dabo, right? If you got a 5-star guy in the transfer portal who logged in as a wide receiver, and then that school made a switch to a coach who's a run-first coach, and he decides that ain't what he signed up for and he wants to go elsewhere, and he's there, and you decide to play a 2-star wide receiver because he wanted to be there instead of grabbing the 5-star that wants to be there now, okay, that's on you. Consequences of this attitude come with Dabo, but it is time for the media to stop beating up on Dabo for feeling this way, right? Stop beating up on the guy for feeling this way. It's not wrong to want to get guys who want to be there. I think it's wrong to think that you could not bring in a transfer and have that person become a lifelong Tiger. As I've said, it is now about what you provide for the athlete, not only what the athlete provides you. It is still about what the athlete can provide you as a program. It is still about what the athlete can do for you on the field. You have the right to get rid of them just like they have the right to get rid of you. But it is now as much about what you can provide for them. So I'm at this point, I am very much over the media, specifically local, asking Dabo every time he has a microphone, hey, Dabo, how do you feel about the transfer portal? We know. He has made it very obvious at this point that he's not going to run his program relying heavily on the transfer portal, and that's fine.
Unless this is a bet amongst the media people, seeing if they can get Dabo to crack. He's been known to crack on occasion. There's some video out there of him getting a little angry about some things, usually about the Gamecocks, but he will get a little angry about some things. So maybe there's a little $5 bet between all the media people. Who's asking today and who's going to get him to break?
Yeah. I mean, I maybe. You know, like I said, most of the Dabo appearances I have been a part of, it is 85, 90% local media and 10 to 15% national media, right? There's always an Andrea Adelson running around, which is great. I think it's great. But Andrea Adelson doesn't ask Dabo about the transfer portal anymore because we know the answer, right? We're going to crank out the same article over again. Oh, Dabo said we're not a catch-and-release program. He's been saying that for 6 months. Of course he said that. If your goal is to try to catch Dabo saying something that you can go, oh, got him. All right. All right, but that seems like a really bad way to do journalism. It certainly seems like you were shirking a lot of what other could be big stories about this program in order to try to create a story based on a soundbite.
Yeah, but Rob, in all honesty, what else is there to ask him? I mean, what else is there to ask him? Is Clemson?
Camp starts in 4 days.
Yeah, Rob, is Clemson going to be good this year? I'm asking you. I'm not asking Dabo. Is Clemson going to be good this year?
Yes.
Is Clemson going to have the opportunity to vie for a national championship?
Yes.
What else is there to ask?
How and why?
Yeah, we've seen.
Coach.
We've seen how. We've seen why. What the why is if DJ's good enough to take them there, or
Okay, here you go.
if
Ready?
Cade can come in.
I don't have anything prepped because it turns out, and this may shock you, Dabo's not here. So let me make up a question that I would make up on the spot if I'm there. Coach, 2 weeks ago at ACC Media Days, we had DJ Uyunglele on the show. DJ said, his words not mine, that last season was disappointing, both for the team and for himself. We know that DJ's put in some work, lost a little weight, got a little more tone, put some time in on the practice field that's extra away from the team. What do you plan on doing, especially with the new offensive coordinator? What do you plan on doing specifically to tailor the offense towards the strengths and weaknesses that you saw out of DJ Uiagalelei as the season progressed last year?
And he will say, the offense hasn't changed because we promote from within. It's going to be the same system. He's not learning a new system. It's his second year as a starter. Has less pressure this year because now he's got a full season under his belt. We're ready to go. There really are no questions to ask Dabo.
I disagree entirely.
Other than the NIL thing. Because, and this is going to make Clemson people mad, but I'm good at that. Clemson is boring. They absolutely are boring. And I've heard Mark Ryan say this before too. They're boring. They are. You know why? Because they're really good. They're the best in the ACC. Yeah, they had a little bit of a down year last year. Other than that, they're boring. They reload, they get back in there, and they compete, and they vie for a national championship. That's what they do. So the only thing that's not boring about this is trying to get Dabo to crack. That's the only thing. That's why we talk about Gamecocks more. In my opinion, it's because the Gamecocks are better, but that's just me. Talk about them more because they have somewhere to go, somewhere to rise to, something to recover from. Clemson doesn't really. They lost a couple games last year for the first time in a while. Clemson is one of the most boring teams in all of college football, and that's not a bad thing.
So I will respond, which is a dumb thing to say because it's talk radio. That's literally what we do.
And
All right.
And it's your show. So, I mean,
So, number one, I disagree. I literally just asked the question that's not about transfer portal and is a good one. Now, you can absolutely say, well, Clemson's boring. Dabo's boring, right? NIL is the most.
By the way, I never said Dabo is boring. I said Clemson is boring. Clemson as a team is boring. Dabo can break. If you want to break them, you ask them the same question over and over again.
I get it. Let's say Clemson's boring. I don't necessarily agree with that. Do I think that they're Mike Leach or
you know who else is boring to a certain degree? Alabama is boring.
Agreed.
Ohio State, boring.
Michigan's kind of, Harbaugh's
No.
decided to make it weird.
Because the teams at the top, the same 3 or 4 teams that people complain about all the time that are always up there, they're kind of boring. Why? Because they just they reload and they go back to where they were before.
Stability is the enemy of volatility, and volatility is drama, and we love drama. I get it.
Absolutely.
I get it. I understand that. Here's the thing. I'm a Clemson fan, right? I'm a Clemson fan. I'm a Gamecock fan. I'm a Wofford fan. I'm a Furman fan. I'm a fan of all the schools here because, again, when they do well, A, I make money, and B, the community gets the national recognition that I believe that it frankly deserves, okay? So I'm a Clemson fan. I want to know what went wrong last year, in Dabo's opinion. I want to know how he's planning on fixing it this year. I want to know, offensively speaking, why was DJ not the guy we expected him to be? And how are you going to cater to make him, to give him a better opportunity to play this year? I want to know why it was that Will Shipley broke out against FSU, and will we see the same Will Shipley performing in that role this year, but with bigger options within the offense? These are all genuinely good football questions that I want to know from the head coach, and it is a disservice to the local Clemson fans when local media goes, hey, Dabo, how about that transfer portal, huh? He hates it. We know he hates it. He doesn't want to use it. He'll only use it in the most extreme circumstances. We got all that. It's been written 1,000 times. Can we ask the man a football question? And let's say he gives nothing but boring-ass, vanilla, repetitive answers. You know what?
Which is exactly what he will do.
That's fine. I still would rather that
Well, then
than
you-
the 3,000th time we've heard him talk about transfer.
I get your job is to ask questions, but if you're just asking the same questions over and
That's
over
what I'm
again,
saying.
you're
That's
still
what they're
no.
doing.
The questions you're asking, they're still the same boring questions, and you're going to get a boring answer from him. You got a better shot of getting a an answer that you can make a headline out of if you keep asking him about the NIL, because he has shown he will break when it comes to certain kinds of things. When you ask him about the team itself, he's not going to break on that. So you're going to be saying basically the same thing that everyone's saying. You get him to break one time, though, it looks really good on you.
So, what it comes down to is Rob Brown refuses to participate in clickbait and therefore is not good at his job.
The world is clickbait now,
Yeah, no, I hate
whether you
it.
like it or not. And I'm telling you, it's not going back.
Sucks. Big Game Boomer on Twitter just put up a thing that was like top 25 entrances in college football. And it's just a bad list. And it's like, what's your source on this? And he's like, me. But it's got 1,000 retweets and it's just all people yelling at him that he's dumb and wrong. And it's like, a click's a click, whether they click it out of love or hate.
You are
I hate it.
You're sounding like old man now, and that's fine. I mean, you're getting there. I'm not going to say you are an old man. I'm not even an old man, even though I joke about it.
My shoes are slip-on.
All right, I changed my mind.
Faces and heels next.
Wait.
on the Rob Bro. Okay.
Wait.
I'm waiting.
I know you're trying to get the vacation really quick,
Oh, we got
but
that thing we said we're gonna do.
I want to give away wrestling tickets right now.
You know what? I accept that.
We
I
have
accept that.
we have 2 tickets to Friday Night SmackDown. We will take caller number 4, and I can read the phone because I don't have it memorized. 844-326-3663. That's 844-FAN-PHONE. The 4th caller right now will win tickets to SmackDown.
Friday Night SmackDown. This Friday night, the Bon Score Wellness Arena, your reigning, defending, undisputed WWE Universal Champion Roman Reigns and the rest of the roster will be right here in the Ville on Friday. This Friday night, we have got 2 tickets to Friday Night SmackDown to give away right now. 844-326-3663. 844-FAN-PHONE. Caller number 4 is winning a pair of tickets to Friday Night SmackDown. Caller number 4 right now at 844-326-3663. Can I do the yelly outro now?
Yes.
I'm not going to count that one.
No, you
I'm
should
not
count
gonna
it.
count that
You
one.
know, no, you count it, okay?
Faces and heels next on the Rob Brown Show in the Fan Upstate.
Prisma.
Tell you about my friends at Prisma Health, ladies and gentlemen, the official healthcare provider of the Tigers, of the Gamecocks, and of the Rob Brown Show. Your boy is a bit of a pickup basketball expert. Love getting out, down to the local gym, throwing up a few threes, and embarrassing myself thoroughly in front of my friends. And one of the things that's happened over the years is every now and then, certainly more as I've gotten older than it used to happen, something goes wrong. An ankle rolls, a knee pops, something in the back gives out, and it's like, all right, I probably need to go see somebody about this new fun and exciting problem I'm dealing with. That's why I'm very excited about Prisma Health, because ordinarily it's not like bad. That's not that bad, right? It's not that bad. It's like, all right, I roll my ankle. I probably need to go get it checked, make sure I didn't do something worse than just roll it over, and I can go right there to my chart at prismahealth.org, and I can get myself set up with an appointment with one of their orthopedic specialists. The other option that I have is if it is bad, if I do find myself in a predicament that I need help with, like right
So if you're on the stream and you're trying to call right now, we already gave the tickets away. But you're going to have the opportunity the rest of the week. So I will just interrupt the guest host in the middle of a major thought to give the tickets away. Just because, what's he going to do?
Right.
He's in Arkansas.
Louisiana, isn't he?
I thought he was in Arkansas. Do believe he lives in Arkansas, but he's a LSU fan. I could be wrong. I was wrong about the dentist, so I mean, I was wrong about the dentist yesterday. I'm wrong all the time. I wish I was right as much as people say I think I am. That would be awesome. Like how I'm going to be wrong on everything we're about to do, probably.
It is time for Lonzo's favorite segment of the week. It is time for Faces and Heels, where Lonzo and I take a look at some socially ambiguous situations and try to figure out who's the good guy, who's the bad guy, who's the face, and who is the heel. This is Faces and Heels. We start with a pair of sisters.
Can I interrupt for a second and just say congratulations to Steven Herrera for winning the
Yes.
tickets? And it's awesome that that Roman Reigns was at the end of the Faces and Heels intro, because
Theoretically,
you might get to see him Friday.
you should get to see him Friday.
You'll at least get to see his cousins.
Ooh, all right. Enjoy that, Steven. I am bummed I will not be there, but Zoe will be. And just remember, if he doesn't get out of his chair, it doesn't mean he's not happy.
That's right. Well, I'll get out of my chair
Only
to get
because
to the
every
restroom.
wrestling show I've gone to with Zoe, I get at least one person asking me that.
I do.
Zoe can drink himself
By the
into
way,
happiness.
I do stand up all the time. I'm just not rah-rah because I have to save my voice. My voice is precious. I get paid to use my voice, and why should I give it to those people for free?
Fair enough.
All right, go ahead.
Pair of sisters, 21-year-old, 25-year-old. 21-year-old sister says, my 25-year-old sister has been staying with me due to some personal issues she's had, which is fine. We get along great. The problem is that the younger sister, who owns the apartment that the older sister is staying in temporarily, has issues with migraines. Zoe, I think you get migraines every now and then.
I do.
I get migraines every now and then. My mom gets migraines every now and then. They are debilitating. All right? They will wreck your day. She says that the sister, when she moved in, was wearing deodorant that has a very, very prominent smell, and it's a very sweet smell. It's like a perfume deodorant, basically. She said when she moved in, she was like, on day number one, the deodorant her sister put on triggered the migraines, right? Was like, hey, I'm really sorry, but strong smells trigger my migraines. Your deodorant has triggered my migraines. I hate to ask, but do you mind switching to something else while you are here so that I don't get migraines? She said, it's been 2 weeks since I've asked. The sister has not changed the deodorant. So she said, I went and said, hey, I'm really sorry, but you either have to change deodorant or you got to leave. It's triggering migraines like every couple of days. It's only after you come out of the bathroom from getting ready that it happens. You either have to change deodorant or you have to leave. Well, she said the sister, as a reaction, has stopped wearing deodorant altogether. Says she goes to the gym. She doesn't wear the deodorant. She comes home. She stinks. She won't put on deodorant. And basically it said, well, if I can't wear my deodorant, I won't wear any deodorant at all. Says now she just stinks and it's triggering my migraine. I have told her she has 5 days to find a new place to stay. Who's the face? Who's the heel?
The heel is the stanky sister, because it's your sister. And so you would rather her be in pain than change your deodorant. And then you'd rather her be in pain than take a shower.
Is it worth kicking her out, though, when she doesn't have anywhere else to go?
As someone who has migraines that are so bad that you almost can't do your job,
Yeah.
if it's debilitating to the point where it's going to cost her way of life, as far as if you're hurt so bad you can't do your job, you can't function, yeah, you might have to do that to just, live.
Yeah, older sister's the heel here. If it was just, hey, I don't like the smell of your deodorant,
I'm intrigued, though. I didn't know that smells can
it can
do
for some
that.
people. It can for some
Because
people.
I wonder if maybe that's one of my problems. To look into that.
Did these happen to start when I moved into the office, or was that just a coincidence?
Oh no, I had plenty of
Oh,
headaches
okay, all right.
before I came to this show.
All right. Yeah, the deodorant sister is the heel in this situation, no doubt about that, right? Like if she just came to you like, I just don't like the smell of your deodorant, be like, dude, you smell it for like 2 minutes a day, get over it, right? Like I already own it. It's all I use. It's a couple of minutes a day. Suck it up. Be a grown-up, right? But if it is causing this young woman to lose work, right? If it is causing this young woman to have to, I have had migraines before. They have ruined me as a person. I'm not even kidding. I had migraines so bad one time. And I'm not like I wanted to be done with life. That's how bad they were. It hurt so bad. I was like, I would rather not wake up than feel like this anymore. I get it. If it's that bad, yeah, you got to stop, right? If it's just, I don't like the smell of it, do get over it. You're a grown up, but it's not. It's worse. All right, here's another one. Two in the same vein. One, 25-year-old man has a 22-year-old girlfriend. And over the past couple of months, his 22-year-old girlfriend, who he does not live with, they live apart from each other. He said very frequently, our date nights are, she will come over twice a week. And I cook dinner for her, right? I make a big dinner. Well, over the last couple of months, she has developed a lactose intolerance. She cannot have lactose, which is relatively common. And since then, she has developed a dairy-free diet. She cannot eat dairy even when it just gives her gas here and there. He said, we live separately.
Can't or won't. I mean, if you say even if it just gives her gas, it's a preference. Yeah.
From what I'm getting from his submission, there are some things that just give her gas, and there are other things that like wreck her night, if you feel me.
Okay.
All right. So.
Which could wreck his night too.
Yes.
Depending on,
correct. Correct. Says she refused. She will not eat any dairy, even stuff that just gives her gas. I never complained about it, though it does make it more difficult for me to cook because of the number of dietary limitations she has. She comes over for dinner twice a week, and lately her meals have not been as good due to all the dairy substitutes, which is fine. I don't mind making it. Well, last night I made a pasta dish. I made hers with a dairy cream substitute. I made mine with a heavy cream. She said that she would not, she was mad at him for eating food that clearly tastes better than hers because she can't have dairy. And he should, as a supportive boyfriend, eat the same foods that she does when they're together. She said, if you want pasta with heavy cream, you can make it when I'm not around. But when I'm around, you should eat the same things that I have to eat out of support for me and this new issue that I have to deal with. I refused. I made my pasta the good way. I ate the pasta the good way. She got mad and left the middle of date night, just got up and left. Face and heel.
This is very, very tough, and I think you should have to go first.
I am happy to go first. She's the heel. She's a mega heel, all right? I'm going to segue into the next one, which is nuts and bolts version. Guy threw a barbecue last weekend. Sister is a vegan. Sister shows up to the barbecue, and basically all that's available to her is like corn. You know, like he had corn on the cob that he grilled. But she's like, you know I'm vegan. You know I don't eat meat. You should have provided some entrees that aren't meat, right? because you know I'm vegan. Ladies and gentlemen, if someone else is providing food for you and it's not food that you can have, this is going to come across as insensitive, though please understand that I understand the struggle and respect the struggle. It's on you, all right? If you have dietary restrictions, even if it's just because you're on a diet, right? You're on a diet doesn't mean I can't have my brownie sundae, all right? If you can't have lactose, that sucks. Now, would it be nice if the boyfriend would go, I just won't make lactose meals? Yeah, he did that, though, right? He literally made you a dairy-free substitute of the same dish just because you know it's not as tasty. And that sucks for you. It sucks for you. I get it. Especially if you are someone, as a lot of people do, who develop a lactose intolerance later in life. He made you a separate dish just for you that's lactose-free so that you could have pasta with him just because he is having lactose-included pasta. He doesn't have to cater his plate towards you. If you go to a barbecue and you're a vegan, bring something to put on the grill. I promise you, I've thrown 1,000 barbecues, and I've thrown barbecues with my vegan friends, and they bring over their beef tofu or whatever they pretend is real meat. And you know what? I don't mind cooking it. Absolutely. I don't know how to cook it, but if you will tell me it needs to be on the grill over direct heat for X minutes, move to indirect heat for Y minutes, I am more than happy to prepare that for you on the grill as well. But don't show up and bag me for only having short ribs available at the barbecue, my guy.
All right. I'm going to agree with you on both of those, not because, I've been going at you for most of the show because you're leaving and I want you to remember me while you're gone. You don't remember me while I'm here, but you'll remember me while you're gone. So, but I think the boyfriend's a little vindictive if he made the good food and smiled while he was eating it. Not like you and I would know anything about it. Not like you and I may at one time ate some delicious free pizza in front of someone who couldn't eat said pizza at a remote. And I don't know if you even recall this, but we did that. And I just wanted to bring that up. All right. Because so we have been in that situation and we did that and we enjoyed that. But that person could have went and got their kind of pizza.
Yeah.
The other thing is, I think it really comes down to, did the dude smile the whole time he was eating his food? If he did, then he brought that on himself. But just because you have things that you can, it's not like there was a peanut allergy and he was eating peanuts and she would die if she ate some of those. This is an intolerance, which means,
it sucks you can't have it, but I can. And it's not going to you'd be right? Like if she had if she's one of the people that's allergic to peanuts, like can't even smell a peanut or they'll die or have an issue. And then my man made peanut crusted chicken breast and be like, yeah, that's a jerk move. That's a heel move. But he made you, in fact, I would go so far as to say, went out of his way. Because the girlfriend, right? The lady friend, she doesn't like spicy food, right? She doesn't like spicy food. My Cajun ass, on the other hand, is you can't put enough cayenne on. I'm growing a Carolina Reaper pepper in my backyard just to make salsa out of it. I love spicy food. When I cook dinner for us, I effectively have to cook 2 dinners, right? The other night, we made a Cajun etouffee. I made an etouffee. I had to make the etouffee. Then I had to split the etouffee. Then I had to finish my etouffee with the spices cooked into it, which you're supposed to cook the spices into it at the beginning. But I have to either cook it totally separate or just base the spices at the end. Not my favorite way, but I'm willing to do it for her. Now, if she ever went, I don't like spicy food, so you can't eat spicy food? No.
Yeah,
I went out of my way to make it the way you need it to be.
We're in the same situation. I ate spicy food my entire life, but I've developed a stomach problem that I can't handle a whole lot of it. So now whenever we make some of the favorite foods that the whole family likes, I have to have something separate for me. And do I hate it? Because I smell how good it, and I remember how good it tastes, but I also know the pain that it will cause me if I eat it. So, I mean, it's just being considerate. Yeah. And you don't have to do that. You could say, sorry, this is food we're having. If you can't eat it, you can go somewhere else.
I've got a buddy back home that I worked with the radio for years who had to give up drinking, right? He had a drinking problem, and he recognized it midway through his 20s that he had a drinking problem. And whenever we would do like remotes that were in bars and stuff, I, who does drink, I wouldn't drink in front of the guy, right? And he comes to me one day, he's like, look, I get what you're doing and I appreciate it. I can't have it. It doesn't mean you have to change. It doesn't mean you can't. You can do it responsibly and safely. Have at. I don't care. It's on me. It's my problem. You just can't have milk in your pasta and you're going to leave him? You're just going to ditch date night over it? That's a heel move, man. Mega heel. All right. Last one. And then we take a break, hit Twitter on the way out the door, and then I'm gone for a week. 30-year-old girlfriend, 30-year-old boyfriend, they had a trip planned, a vacation planned, right? Had a vacation plan. I'm throwing this one in specifically, though, because it makes a good me and you, all right? They had a trip planned. They were going out of town for a week. Well,
me and you are always good, Rob.
Correct.
You go right ahead.
Correct. We're great. 3 weeks before the trip, she had paid for everything. The deposits were down, yada, yada, yada. Paid for everything. They were going out of town for a week. Well, he plays Dungeons and Dragons. His group decided 3 weeks out that the Saturday they were going to be out of town, that they were going to play a group session together. He then said, we need to postpone the vacation so I can play. She said, nope, deposits are down, hotels paid for, transportation, we're going. He went, I can't go. My group can't ever get together. This is the one time everybody else can go. I'm playing in this game. I can't go out of town. She went without him. Was like, all right, have fun at your game. I'll see you when I get back from this couple's vacation. I'm going on by myself. He did not relent and did not go. She got back and dumped him on the spot for making the game a priority over her. Who's the face? Who's the heel?
Oh, he's the heel.
All right.
Yeah. I mean, come on.
Yeah, that's a heel move.
Come on. He's the heel. Yeah. Well, no game is it unless you get paid to play a game like the NFL. If it's we're going on vacation, you can't play that football game. That's different. This is no. Come on, dude. That means you care about that game more than your relationship. I just no.
Yeah, I agree. Listen, it's one thing if there's like a big game on your vacation, but dude, you got to know that going in, right? When she's like, what dates do we want to go on vacation? It's on you to scan the old football calendar and know what weekends you can't miss because it's a big rivalry game or whatever. You can't do it for a boys' game night. Can't do it. That's too much. And that's from somebody who enjoys playing that nerdy-ass game. Let's take a break. We're back after this. Twitter trending topics, and then I'm gone for a week. You're welcome. The Rob Brown Show's on your radio. This is the Fan Upstate.
Trey, if you're still listening, I would just throw this out there. I did a sports show for 14 years. I picked an intern who was going to Clemson to be my co-host just so we could fight about Clemson in Carolina for 14 years. So I could talk about Clemson for an entire 3 hours and would be more positive than you could possibly believe. And all the Clemson fans would hear is me talking about Clemson and thinking everything I said was sarcastic.
As I tell people all the time, the ability to do something and the desire to do something are separate from each other.
Do I want to? No, I do not.
Here, I'll get myself in trouble. I'm a Saints fan. I'm absolutely about to do a multi-time a week Carolina Panther podcast talking about them. My ability and my desire to line up. And yes, I am very excited about it. Thank you for asking. You didn't, but it would have been rude of you not to. Think I can learn Spanish by this weekend?
Sure. Why not?
¿De dónde eres?
Luckily, it's a national spot, so we can make fun of it. Oh, crap. I'll put that in the wrong place. Oops.
Happens to the best of us.
No.
So Steven said, watch out near the equator. Fox just had breaking news on solar flares for the next week. Extra suntan lotion. Yeah. In fact, there is a solar storm that is going to be happening on Wednesday. Guess who's going to be on an airplane when the solar storm hits the planet? Which I'm sure it happens all the time, and it's just fine. And I've got no reason to worry. But as the lady firm will tell you, I am the king. Actually, Alonzo could tell you, I am the king of worst case scenario.
I think we rival each other on that, actually. But that's fine. But I do it to see the positive. You do it because you really think that
Yes,
yeah,
I am
yeah,
the king of
yeah,
worst
yeah.
case scenario.
I
You are the worst case scenario jester.
I am the worst case scenario for preparation. Okay, so this is the worst that could happen. What will I do if it did happen? Then when it doesn't happen, I'm having a great time. How often does worst case scenario actually happen now?
I'd rather be prepared.
I was
for
going to say,
worst case
if it
scenario,
does,
you know?
you and I, we're ready for
Yeah.
that, though, when it happens. Or we think we are.
I've already accepted the worst case scenario by the time the worst case scenario happens.
Of course, I will never get on an airplane, so I don't have to worry about that sort of scenario. Not that an airplane couldn't fall out of the sky and hit me on the ground somewhere. And in essence, I still will have died because of airplane. But, you know.
Appreciate it, Steven. We will have a great time, man. I'm very excited about it. The Dominican is one of the few Caribbean countries I have not been to. And we're going to an all-inclusive resort, which means that once I'm there, I'm done. I'm done.
But
I put my stuff in the room.
Inclusive as far as, oh, you mean everything's provided?
Everything's already
okay,
taken
all right.
care of.
I didn't know if maybe it was a lifestyle inclusive thing. I don't know.
Sure it is.
Yeah.
Like anybody's welcome there.
It's a 1%er inclusive
that's it.
thing. Okay.
Can only come there if your golf clubs are gold-plated.
That wouldn't make the ball go well, would it? Because
You'll never know, will you?
No, I won't. That's all I was asking you. I don't know.
Could you imagine if I was really like that?
Hey, congratulations, Steven. Steven just coming. He's the one just won tickets.
Hey, let's go. Steven, I need you to cheer all the heels for me. My whole thing is cheering all the heels.
Or maybe like wear something loud, like Rob normally does. So those sort of things.
That is offensive, sir.
I'm probably digging out the Roman Reigns shirt, just cause. Even though I think it's boring now, and it's time that he be dethroned. 2 years is enough, or whatever it is, 700 and something days. Time for Twitter trending topics, where I tell Rob what is trending on the internet. And since I've crossed out the majority of the things that I had, I've only got a couple. The first thing that's trending is Game Pass.
I got nothing why it's trending. I will tell you that I've taken advantage of it. I downloaded a game last night called Enlisted, which is it's like a big open map, massive multiplayer game. It's not like RPG, but it's like massive. It's like Call of Duty, but it's like 24 versus 24, but it's Axis versus Allies in various war theaters of World War II using authentic weapons, and it was free. I love Game Pass.
Yeah, so do I. I mean, technically it's not free, but I mean, you're not paying what you would have to play all the games.
Would have been $50, and I got it for the 17 I pay a month. Or
there's a couple of reasons why it's trending. For one, Ghost Recon Wildlands just dropped today on Game Pass.
Ghost Recon games are unappreciated.
Yeah, I love Ghost Recon. I haven't finished one yet, though.
They're hard, dude.
Well, I've never played one with more than 2 people. So the fact that it's on Game Pass, I think I've got a pulse assignment to happen now.
Well, I'm in.
Yeah. So,
You know, I mean, I
well,
love some Ghost Recon.
all right. And the other reason why is there's a food preparation game coming for all those, as it said on the thing, who are done power washing.
Did it say that really?
Coming on the 11th, yes, on August 11th, you're going to be able to prepare food
Here's the thing.
in a video game.
Here's the thing. The power washing simulator I acknowledge is dumb as hell, yet I continue to do it. All right? I'm still hooked. I'm still power washing like a madman. A food simulator sounds intriguing, and it sounds intriguing because it feels like it would be a genuine way to learn to cook.
Yeah, I
right?
was going to say, if recipes are on there that you're cooking and then you go, you know what, let me try that in real
Yeah.
life and it actually is good, that would be kind of cool.
Yeah, and it's, you know, the thing with, I like to cook. I cook a lot. The thing about learning to cook is that it can be an expensive hobby to not be good at the gate. There is not much in life that's more frustrating than spending a lot of time putting a recipe together and then you taste it and it tastes like butt.
But then you eat it anyway because you put a bunch
'Cause
of
you put
money
time
into it. Yeah.
But if you let me drill through a handful of fake recipes where I'm actually learning why ingredients work or whatever, that could be good because it would, I think it would eventually inspire me to be like, let's do that now.
All right.
Makes sense.
I had another one, but you need to have time to say goodbye for a week.
I was going to say that almost was far more dramatic than it needed to be. You need time to say goodbye. Ladies and gentlemen, Carter Bryant has got you the next 5 business days. I'll be back next Wednesday to roll with you. I will be out of the country this week. I hope you guys have a spectacular week. Enjoy your weekend. I will say it, Lonzo, happy football season. Starts Thursday with the Hall of Fame game. I have decided. Happy football season started Thursday night. Take care of each other, guys. Be careful. Be safe. Don't drink and drive. And I very much look forward already to getting back with you next Wednesday. I appreciate all that you guys do. Those of you that listen, I sincerely appreciate it because you keep me employed. You're amazing. I love you. You're pretty. You have great hair. We'll see you guys back here next Wednesday. Lonzo will see you tomorrow. I'll see you back here next Wednesday. Have a great weekend. Don't drink and drive. I'll punch you in the face. Have a great weekend, everybody. My name is Rob Brown. This is The Rob Brown Show on the Fan Upstate. Later, brother.
I was hoping for one last baker.
Stream, you guys are amazing. Sincerely, you guys are the best of the best. I appreciate it. I will see you next. You know what? I got to bring the laptop. I may just surprise pop onto the stream at some point. We'll see. We'll see. Just interrupt Carter's show for no reason. Is Carter going to be on stream? No, he's not going to be on stream, is he? No stream. Oh.
They didn't need to know that, though. Now they do. You could have just hit, you could have ended on a positive note. I'll try to get Carter on the stream, okay? There we go. I'll try.